Hello, I'm Jen, and welcome back to my channel, Literary Love 123. Today's video is a March TBR video. So, what do I plan to read in March? Let's find out. I'm really excited about all of the books that I hope to get to in March. Notice I say hope because I'm going to do my best to get to all of them, but I do have a lot going on in March. I will be traveling at the end of the month to Chicago to present my thesis at the PCA National Conference. This will be my first time to present at a conference, so I'm excited, but I'm also quite nervous. My thesis is titled Eclipsing the Patriarchy, the Power of Intergenerational Female Connection in Stephen King's It, Carrie, Gerald's Game, and Dolores Claiborne. I graduated with my master's in English this past December, and my thesis, of course, is my final project from my years of study. And it's exciting to have an opportunity to share it with a broader academic community, but as I said, this is my first time to present at a conference, so I'm just just a little bit nervous. So that, of course, is going to take up a good deal, as I said, of my time in March. But I am planning to participate in two readathons, and I'm planning to do a follow along and read with me and vlog for one of the books that I'm reading this month. So that vlog is going to take priority because of the reason that I do have some other people who are going to be buddy reading the book with me. But I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. So I am going to be using the same book for a couple of prompts in both of the readathons. But let me go ahead and talk about these readathons first. So the first readathon that I'm participating in is one that takes place throughout the month of March. You may know that March is International Women's Month. And so to celebrate women and be able to kind of showcase some of the women writers that I love, I'm super excited to participate in this readathon. It's being hosted and it was also created by Julie at the Hungry Bookworm. So I'll link her channel down below and her announcement video too. The group read is going to be Violetta by Isabel Allende, and I hope I said both of those right. I did see that they have an audiobook for that on Libro FM. I am not sure that I'm going to get to that one, but hopefully I will since it's the group read. The other prompts for this readathon, I'm going to kind of talk about the ones first that I have physical copies for, and then I'll kind of go into the other books that I plan to use for this readathon that I have, either digital copies of or have pre-ordered and haven't gotten them yet. So one of the prompts is to choose a book with a strong female protagonist. I chose An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. This is a book that I pre-ordered, and it's a book that was highly anticipated for me. It's on my list of 24 books to read in 2024. And this author, S.T. Gibson, I fell in love with her previous book, A Dowry of Blood, which was a story from the perspective of one of Dracula's wives. The writing was absolutely stunning. The story was compelling. And this one seems to be a dark academia take on Carmilla by Joseph Sheridan LaFanu, because we are following these characters named Laura and Carmilla who go to an elite kind of school together, and they kind of get wrapped up in obsessions. And I don't know much more about it, and I really don't want to know much more because I want to be surprised. So I am just going to go ahead and assume that both Laura and Carmilla could be considered strong female protagonists, because our main character, Costanza, in A Dowry of Blood was most definitely a strong female protagonist. So I feel like S.T. Gibson will definitely be writing more strong women characters in this book. So The next prompt is to pick a book by a fierce female author. And this is a book that was also on my 24 to read in 2024, and I pre ordered it. And I'm going to go ahead and pull that up on the screen now. And this book is Thirst by Marina, and I'm not even going to try to say this last name. This one drew my attention for several different reasons, but if we just kind of look at this opening paragraph, across two different time periods, two women confront fear, loneliness, mortality, and a haunting yearning that will not let them rest. A breakout genre blurring novel from one of the most exciting new voices of Latin America's feminist Gothic. So we have feminist, we have Gothic, and then also we have comps to Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Gothic writers like Shirley Jackson, Daphne du Maurier, and Carmen Maria Machado, and that it explores limits of female agency, consuming power of desire, and the fragile vitality of even the most immortal of creatures. So this is also a vampire type story. Do we sense a theme here? I will also be using Thirst for two other prompts in the Fierce Women Readathon. And those two prompts are to read a book based on a mythical character. This one I got pretty creative with because I said, this that Thirst is like a vampire type story, so mythical creature, vampire. And then also I'm using it for discovering a book by an up and coming female author, because this is a new author, and so I am using this prompt for Thirst as well. And so one of the things that I will say just really briefly here, as far as getting very creative with prompts, I know that if I choose a book just because I need to choose it for a certain prompt, that I'm probably not going to like it. And you will see this whenever or whenever I don't think you're going to be here with me, right? Hopefully you'll be watching. But whenever I do upload my February wrap up video, there were a few books that I read or started to read just to fit them into specific prompts, and I ended up DNFing them. So I want to make sure that I am using the prompts in a way that's going to work for me. So I'm very excited about this particular readathon. There's one more prompt that I haven't talked about yet, and that is to read a book that explores the bonds of female friendship. So I'm going to share the screen again and talk a little bit about the book that I chose for this prompt. And the book I chose for this prompt is Mewing by Chloe Spencer. So I have pre ordered it and it should be getting here this week. And like I said, just going from the synopsis, I feel like this book would fit the prompt to explore the bonds of female friendship. The first thing that drew me into this book was the cover. I am a sucker for an interesting cover, and this one definitely piqued my interest. So here's the synopsis. Vixen would sell her soul to get into the Bleach Babes, and if she isn't careful, she might just get what she wants. One of the most exclusive influencer co-ops in LA, the Bleach Babes live and work together in one big house where they have it all: popularity, talent, and beauty. Their leader, supermodel Margot, a woman as sinister as she is sexy. After Margot agrees to take Vix under her wing and into her bed, Vixen moves in and begins hustling. Success comes hard and fast, but the glitz and glamour comes with a price that may cost her her sanity and her life. So I definitely feel like this is a book that will be exploring the bonds of female friendship. The second readathon that I'm participating in the month of March is the Week of Weird Readathon. This is hosted by Crystal at Fiber Artsy and Jason at Jason's Weird Reads. I'll be linking their channels down below in the description box. And this readathon takes place from March 17th through March 23rd. So let's talk about the prompts for this one. So the first prompt is Old Weird. Read a weird story or book written prior to the 1960s. So I'm going to share my screen and talk about what I've chosen for this prompt. So, for the first prompt in the Week of Weird readathon, to read Old Weird, a book that was published or a story that was published before the 1960s, I have decided to go with The Sandman by E.T.A. Hoffman. This short story was tossed around a lot by my romantic era professor when I was in grad school, and I was hoping to get a chance to read it then, but with all the other required reading and required papers, I just didn't have time to kind of dive into something that was not a necessity for that class. So I'm really excited to have an opportunity now to read this story. So this website that I'm sharing is actually an article that talks about the connection between E.T.A. Hoffman's The Sandman and Sigmund Freud's essay on the uncanny. So I'm excited to look at this story through the lens of psychoanalysis, and a little bit about the story, though. It's a very influential story, and I want to also, as I'm reading it, kind of look for the ways that it has influenced horror that I enjoy today. So I'm excited for a lot of different reasons about it. But what is this story, right? It's the story of Nathaniel and his obsession with the Sandman. So he has a nanny that tells him about the Sandman, who is a wicked man, and he'll come and throw sand into children's eyes. But then it takes a really sadistic turn here, right? That the nanny says whenever the Sandman throws the sand into the children's eyes, they bleed from their heads. That's all I know. That's all I really want to know, right? Because I'm excited to go in and see what this weird story is all about. The next prompt in the Week of Weird is to read a new weird, a weird story or book that was written between the 1960s to the present. And for this one, I have chosen A Short Stay in Hell. So I'll share the screen and we'll talk about that. So, A Short Stay in Hell is a book that's been on my radar for quite some time. So, again, I'm really excited to have a reason to dig into it now. And this book is written by Stephen L. Peck. And I'm trying to see the publication date. I know it's obviously between 1960s to the present, but this one is about a family man who is a Mormon, and he's always believed that he would be reunited with his loved ones after death and an eternal existence. But when he dies, he apparently finds out that what he believed all of his life is not the truth. And then it's an existentialist, right? So I guess I'm digging into some dark places here. This haunting existential novella author, philosopher, and ecologist Stephen L. Peck explores a subversive vision of eternity, taking the reader on a journey through the afterlife of a world where everything everyone believed in turns out to be wrong. Sounds like a good time, right? Real good time. The next prompt in Week of Weird is to read a story or book written by a woman author. So I'm going to be using Mewing by Chloe Spencer that I talked about just a few minutes ago. This is going to double up for me in both readathons because I certainly think from the synopsis of Mewing that it fits into the category of weird. The fourth and final prompt for the Week of Weird is to read a story or book written by an LGBTQIA plus author. So for this prompt, I have chosen to read We Can Never Leave This Place by Eric LaRocca. This book was already on my 24 to read in 2024 list. I don't know why I haven't already gotten to this. I absolutely loved, that makes me sound sick and twisted. Well, anyway, I absolutely loved Eric LaRocca's Things Have Gotten Worse since we last spoke. And so I'm excited a little bit afraid to dig into We Can Never Leave This Place. So, this book follows a young girl with an unusual imagination who's sent on an odyssey into the depths of depravity. Sounds like another good time, right? After her father dies violently, young Mara is surprised to find her mother welcoming a new guest into their home, claiming that he will protect them from the world of devastation and destruction outside their door. We Can Never Leave This Place is a harrowing portrait of inherited grief and familial trauma. What am I doing to myself this month? Okay, the last two books I want to talk about are books that I'm not reading for any particular readathon. One of them is A Certain Hunger by Tulsi G. Summers. This was on my 24 to read in 2024 list. But I feel like this book could fit into the Fierce Women readathon for sure. Because we follow this food writer, Dorothy Daniels, who loves what she does, and the synopsis states that she loves sex as much as she loves food, and that she is kind of tired of trying to fit into a certain box, and she's ready to kind of embrace who she really is and give in to her appetites, whatever those may be. And the last book I want to talk about is one that was a completely impulsive buy. I was on sprints with Elizabeth at her channel, Elizabeth Sagewood, and a lot of people in the comments started asking people and talking about this book. Have you read Gothikana by Renix? And I was like, well, that's an intriguing title. I haven't heard of that. And then someone shared that there was a new edition with purple sprayed edges. And other than black, purple is my favorite color. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to go look at this book. I saw it. I had to have it. Okay. I had to have it. Some of the words that were used to describe it were erotic, dark academia. It was compared to Beauty and the Beast and Dracula. It's gothic. It said that it had an updated map, moody art, and beautiful end pages. Okay, come on. And so I knew, I was like, wait a minute, I've got to have this. Now let me show you a couple of other things in this book too. There's a playlist. And it is a long playlist. It goes on like, let's see, two and a half pages. And some of the songs on this playlist are, like songs that I really love. And I was like, okay, you got me. I know I'm like just raving over this book, and I haven't even read it yet. So I'm really scared too, as to whether or not it's going to live up to the hype. But even if it doesn't, it's beautiful no matter what. Also, it's got these quotes. It's got quotes from H.P. Lovecraft. It's got quotes from Edgar Allan Poe, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Dracula, and just look at this art. Look at it. Okay, so let me just take it down a notch. If you are interested in reading this book with me, I am going to be doing buddy reads with a few people. I'm going to be vlogging as I read this book, so you can follow along with me. So please let me know down in the comments below if you're interested in buddy reading this. I will be putting out some more information next week on my Instagram channel, which is linked in my bio, or link. I'll link it down in the description box below too, just to make it easier. So you can let me know here. Let me know on Instagram if you would like to participate. I'll be starting this on March 1st, so to start the month off. It's something I'm really, really excited about doing. And I think that just about wraps up my plans for March. As I said, I've got a lot of plans. I would love to know, in addition to, if you would like to participate in the buddy read along with me with Gothikana by Runix. If you are participating in any readathons this month, what book are you most excited about? And I thank you so much for watching. I would love for you to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification so you won't miss anything from me. And happy reading until I see you again. Bye.